Well, thank you so much for this session on Argentina. Today, I'm going to talk about the different regions, how to combine them, what's the best way to promote Argentina or to transmit the information about the different regions that Argentina counts with within its territory. And I'm going to talk a little bit about each region. Briefly here, I'm showing you the four regions that the country is divided in. And we're going to start with, and I'm going to talk briefly about here for all the regions. And then I'm going to go a little bit more in depth about the regions and showing some maps so you can get more to the information on the distances and the logistics of each destination for whenever I'm talking about this, okay? So Argentina is divided in four different regions. The first region is Buenos Aires, the province of Buenos Aires, and the capital of the country and the capital of the province, which is Ciudad de Buenos Aires. The second region is the center of Argentina, where you have the second largest city, which is Cordoba. The third region would be the north of Argentina, bordering with Chile and Bolivia with the salt flats, which would be Calafate, Salta, and Jujuy. The fifth region would be Cuyo, which is more known for Mendoza and the vineyards. The next region would be El Litoral, which is mainly Iguazu Falls from both Argentinian side and the Brazilian side, that I'm going to talk a little bit about both sides. And then I'm going to finalize also with Patagonia. This is not the order I'm going to be talking about, but it's more or less so you can have like a division on the different regions of the country. Patagonia, you have three regions. The first one is Bariloche, very famous for skiing. The second region is Calafate, very famous for its glaciers. And the third region is Ushuaia, which is very famous for its, for being the end of the world, as it is called, and also for being this region that most of the cruises to the Antarctica depart, okay? So I'm going to continue where Argentina is located. Argentina is located at the southeast of South America, bordering in the north with Paraguay, to the west with Brazil and Uruguay, and to the west with Chile. It's the second largest country in South America. Some general facts about Argentina. Buenos Aires is the capital city. The territory is about 2,780,400 square kilometers. The Argentina peso is the currency. About 46 millions live in this country, but most of the people live in different cities such as Buenos Aires, Córdoba, Mendoza, and Misiones. The electricity is 220 volts. Health insurance is not required, but recommended. And it's suggested to have a yellow fever vaccine if you're visiting Iguazu or Iberá National Park. Okay, so how to get to Argentina? Well, there's different ways, especially if you're doing a combination from either Chile or Bolivia to reach Argentina by land. But if you're flying to Argentina, the main point of entrance would be Buenos Aires, Ezeiza International Airport. As you can see here, there are different airports within the country. However, these airports are more regional flights. So you need to connect from one city to the other, arriving through Buenos Aires, okay? So we recommend, if you're not entering by land, that you might be able to do it from Chile or from Bolivia. always to fly to Buenos Aires and stay a couple of days here. I'm going to continue. Transportation. Well, it depends a lot the transportation that you might get because of the different regions. So, for example, in Buenos Aires, you can find all the different types of transportation. However, if you go further to the south in Patagonia, the transportation is going to be less luxurious, but it's going to be more 4x4 because of the conditions of the roads. Okay. The same thing if you're going to be doing Iguazu Falls or Salta and Calafate, you need some requirements in the transportation in order to be able to reach the different points that you're going to be visiting throughout your stay in Argentina. So I'm going to talk first of all about Buenos Aires. Buenos Aires is this vibrant city, one of the most important cities in South America. It is well known to be a city in South America that it looks very alike to a European city, as they had a lot of European influence after 1945 and previous to that. However, this city is one of the biggest cities in South America, very cosmopolitan, and you have all types of restaurants, but like getting to enjoy the local Argentinian barbecue steak, it's a must. Another kind of things or experiences that you might feel the vibe of this city is the tango, that you will be seeing people dancing tango throughout the street, or maybe like seeing the people drinking mate, just sitting down there in a coffee place, and you can really get indented with the culture. Okay, so in to reach Buenos Aires, there are two airports. So, for example, if you're coming from the United States, Europe, or overseas, not locally, regionally, from South America, you will always arrive to Ezeiza International Airport. There is another airport in the city, which is Aeroparque Airport, and this one is more for local flights within Argentina, and also some regional flights from South America that might come from Brazil or might come from let's say Peru or Colombia, etc. But it will depend. So most of the flights, the international flights, will come to Ezeiza. So when you arrive to Ezeiza, it'll take you about 1 hour, depending on traffic, to get to the town. Once you get to the town, there are three actually places that we recommend passengers stay in, which could be Palermo, which is a traditional neighborhood in Buenos Aires. It could be Recoleta, or it could be also by the river, El Río de la Plata. And those are the three like places where we recommend, because from these places we can walk by and have like different approaches to coffee places, etc., etc. When I talk about Buenos Aires, I recommend to stay at least 2 nights. 1 day for having the arrival, and the second day for having a full day of the city tour, getting to know Plaza 24 de Mayo, which is where La Casa Rosada, the national government palace, is. You can learn about the history during the 70s in Argentina, where they had a dictatorship, and that caused a high influence of what happened in the country, and understanding the political situation that they have right now at the moment as well. However, there are other excursions that we recommend if you want to stay a little more time in Buenos Aires. One of those is going to Las Pampas, which is 1 hour away, or 1 hour and 30 minutes away. And it's visiting these local ranches where you can meet the gauchos, who are the Argentinian cowboys. And this is an experience you have. For example, I'm going to show you later You have San Antonio de Areco, which is one of the leading hotels of the world, and it's a place you can stay for 2 days, and you can have accommodation with experiences of doing a barbecue with a gaucho, or doing horseback riding, or doing different experiences within the lodge. Also, you have an excursion that you can go to El Tigre, which is a delta in Argentina, or if you like, you can do an excursion to either Uruguay, to Colonia del Sacramento, which is a colonial town in Uruguay, or you can go to the Montevideo for a full day as well, which is the capital city of Uruguay. This could be as an extension of Buenos Aires. To go to Montevideo is a little longer. It takes about 2 hours and 15 minutes. But if you go to Colonia del Sacramento, it'll be a little shorter. Personally, I recommend Colonia del Sacramento because this town has a lot more charm. A lot of coffee, boutique coffee places that you can go sit there, walk through the colonial town, get the history of it. It's more picturesque that Montevideo, which is also a capital city in South America city. So I'm going to show you a couple of pictures of like what what Buenos Aires looks like. So this is Avenida 9 de Julio, which is the widest avenue in South America. It has about 9 lanes, and it crosses through the center of Buenos Aires, where you have El Obelisco, which is one of the landmarks of the city, but it's super centrally located. One of the experiences that we always recommend is a dinner tango show that you can book after the city tour, and there's different places. Also, like for people that they want to do tango lessons and they're interested about learning tango, that can be offered as well. As I'm showing here, cooking classes. The Argentine experience is one of the preferred experiences on a restaurant in Argentina. It has to book with a long time in advance because it's always full and everyone wants to try it. But here you can do either cooking classes or get to feel a full menu of like different Argentinian traditional dishes. Continue to this, I was talking about La Bamba de Areco, which is a ranch outside 1 hour and 30 minutes away from Buenos Aires. Wine tasting, of course, super important in Argentina with the Malbec type of wine. There's more architectural, graffiti, and art tours. Delta private navigations in El Tigre. Gastronomic tours, as I already explained. Colonia del Sacramento, which is the town when you go to Uruguay. This is super authentic, picturesque, and also other experiences for people that want to indent more, for example, mate tasting and learning about this traditional infusion that Argentinians are known for. So when I talk about luxury properties in Buenos Aires, you have everything from 3 stars up to 5 very luxurious accommodation, but I'm gonna show you a few ones real quick, such as Alvear Palace, Park Hyatt, which is in Recoleta, Hub Porteño, which is in Palermo, the Four Seasons, which is in Recoleta, Faena Hotel, and Alvear Art. So there's like a taste for everything, but if you want like really, really luxury, you can find here in Buenos Aires, definitely. So I'm going to continue to the next region, which is Litoral, and I'm going to talk about Iguazu. So in order to reach to Iguazu, you need to take a flight from Buenos Aires, which is right here, and then take a flight about 2 hours and 30 minutes to reach Puerto Iguazu. Then you will arrive, and it is mainly by the Iguazu Falls. So it's a port. It's a small city, but you can find all types of accommodations. When I talk about experiences here, the experience basically are the waterfalls. However, it's really important that you can stay here at minimum 2 nights, preferable 3 nights, because you do want to do the Brazilian and the Argentinian side. I'm going to talk a little bit more briefly about this and how it looks alike, okay? So, when we talk about Iguazu Falls, in order to do the Argentinian side, you need to have a full day because there are three circuits: the inferior circuit, the lower circuit, and the upper circuit. The upper circuit is the one that you take the train, okay? You get in the morning, you take the train, and it takes you all the way to the Devil's Throat station. And then you do a hike through a bridge and you get to the Devil's Throat viewpoint. Here, what's the difference between the Argentinian side and the Brazilian side? From the Brazilian side, you have a more panoramic view of the waterfalls. So you gotta see them in front. Okay. On the other hand, from the Argentinian side, you have different sidewalks where you can see through different ways the waterfalls. So from underneath, and then a little bit more panoramic, but also you can see them from the top from the Devil's Throat viewpoint. Okay. Actually, there's some experiences that you can get by boat, and that takes about like an hour and 30 minutes excursion. And you can do that from either the Brazilian side or the Argentinian side. When we talk about the hotels, there's a lot of hotels from 3 stars to 5-star luxury, either in Puerto Iguazu or in Foz de Iguazu. Regardless, wherever you want to stay, if you're continuing your trip to Brazil, you maybe want to stay in the Brazilian side, but it doesn't really matter in which side you're staying because it's pretty close the border crossing. In regards to the border crossing, it does not take that much time. It would probably take about like 15 to 20 minutes to do the border crossing, checking the passports, and getting to the other side, to the other country. Additionally to this, there are some experiences that can be offered exclusively. So, for example, when there is a full moon, there are some tours by night that you can access the waterfalls, but that's always upon request, okay? There's two things for luxury that I want to put into consideration here. So you have two hotels that are inside the national park, the Iguazu National Park, where you can have a direct stay in the waterfalls. One of those is in the Brazilian side, Hotel Dos Cataratas by Belmont, and the other one is Melia Iguazu Hotel, which is another chain hotel. What's the difference here? The difference in Belmont das Cataratas is that this one has a better view of the waterfalls from the rooms than what Melia Iguazu Hotel can offer. You still can see the waterfalls, but it could be a little further away. But in Belmont das Cataratas, on the other hand, you will be able to see everything from your rooms. I mean, not all of the rooms are waterfall view, but you can get a pretty good idea on what I'm going to show you later on. Okay. So when I'm talking about Iguazu, let's talk, for example, this picture is from the Brazilian side, and this is how you look the waterfalls from the Brazilian side. When we talk about the Devil's Throat, if you see here, you can see that you can see the waterfall from the top, but this is from the Argentinian side. And also another experience for passengers that are more luxury, you can actually get to do a helicopter flight over the waterfalls, which is also a nice experience as well. There's in Belmont das Cataratas, you can do luxury picnics, and also what I was telling you about the great adventure navigation within the falls, which is pretty safe as well. Okay. About the luxury properties, I was telling you about Melia Iguazu, that you can see here in the window. You can see the waterfalls. Awasi Wasu is a little further outside, but it's a very incredible luxury hotel. Belmont das Cataratas and Lois Suites de Iguazu. Any of these hotels, but there's also 4 and 3 star accommodation on the other alternative hotels. If you have a little bit more time, you might want to visit the Litoral Iberá National Park. In order to reach this part, you need to take a 3-hour drive to Posadas, which is a city south of Iguazu, of Puerto Iguazu, and then overnight there, and then take the next day a 3-day flight. A 3-day night program for getting to the Iberá National Park. There are a couple of lodges. There are fewer luxury ones, but there are a couple of 4 and 3 stars. The Iberá National Park is a national park that could be compared similar to what they have in the Pantanal in Brazil. I mean, the capability to see more animals, of course, is in Pantanal, but you can see some of the same animals, such as the capybaras, the jaguars, anacondas, monkeys, monkeys, among others. But you need a little more time in order to reach this national park. So this is one of the luxury properties, Hotel Puerto Valle, that you can see in Iberá National Park. So now I'm going to get into the north, which is Salta. Okay. Salta is the capital city of this region. Okay. And what's famous for this region? First of all, connections are usually from Buenos Aires directly. There's some connections from Cordoba, also from Mendoza, but most of the connections are from Buenos Aires. And one important thing to say here is that most of the times, especially if it's not high season, there's going to be lower frequency. So you must go back to Buenos Aires in order to reach another city, which is something not very convenient. And that's why you have to plan very, very well your itinerary. So when arriving to Salta, we recommend staying in Salta at least 3 days, 2 nights, the minimum, or 4 days, 3 nights, because what you're going to be visiting, the main points, which are Calafate, Icachi, San Antonio de los Cobres, where is the sky train that everyone have seen these pictures, and then going to Jujuy, which is where you're going to see this kind of like similar landscapes that you will find in Uyuni, in the salt flats. Okay, so this is a great combination that you're going to be able to do it within 4 days, 3 nights. If you go down to Calafate, you're also going to be able to see a lot of the vineyards in that region, because besides Mendoza, there's also wine production in Calafate, which is very, very well known. So, okay, let's talk about this. So Salta is a colonial traditional city from the north of Argentina, completely different to what you will find in Buenos Aires. Even their accent is different. They're not going to talk like the people from Buenos Aires. And if you speak Spanish, you will tell the difference, because they're not going to be speaking with the sh that the Argentinians usually speak in Spanish. But Salta is traditional, colonial. It has a very a picturesque town. But the cool thing about being here is doing the full day excursions, or going and sleep in the different cities around the area. So I'm going to talk about the south part of Salta, which is going to Cafayate. Cafayate is basically the south valley of this region, and it takes about 4 hours to reach here. So it definitely is recommended to do it and overnight here rather than just doing a full day, because you're going to spend so much time traveling by car if you're going to do this directly. Okay. And then also in the north, you're going to have Salinas Grandes de Jujuy that will take you about 3 hours and 30 minutes, and you can overnight here. All types of accommodations are going to be able to be found in these places. But also, I want to talk a different, a specific point of interest that a lot of people tell me about, which is the SkyTrain. I want to say that the SkyTrain is not a train route that you go from point A to point B. The SkyTrain is actually it's a touristic train tour that it's only going to be focused in admiring the different landscapes that you're going to see in this region. That could turn a little bit into the South Flats of Uyuni, but also a combination of, like, if we want to do a comparison of what you will see in the Moon Valley in the San Pedro de Atacama Desert. So it's kind of a nice blending of the two different landscapes that you might have in this region. So I'm going to talk about different experiences and pictures you have here. So for example, you have Salta, which is a colonial town. And then, for example, what I was telling you, it's another region of Argentina that that has a good wine production. So there's a lot of vineyards in this region as well. I'm talking about visiting Cachi in Salta, the SkyTrain, which is typically in this region that does not take you anywhere, but like it's a train route that it's only panoramic, and it will take you about an hour and 30 minutes to do the back and forward. Salta is traditional for its empanadas salteñas argentinas, and it's definitely something very important. And this is an experience that people that are into gastronomics, foodies, and all of this stuff are really interested in. Okay. So another thing that you can learn is the tradition, because in this region, you have a lot of different traditions from other parts of Argentina. Okay. And when I was talking about the salt flats in the north of Salta in Jujuy, this is something very similar to what you will see in Uyuni. So if you're not having the time to see Uyuni, probably this is a great opportunity to see something similar. And when I was talking about the landscapes, Hamahuacha and Hornocal, it's a trekking that you can do and see a little bit of this moon landscape that you might see also in Chile in the north in San Pedro de Atacama. Okay. Among the luxury properties, you can find a lot of different properties also from 3 stars, 4 stars, but also like very good lodges and that you can stay in different parts of this region, such as House of Jazmines, Legado Mítico, Grace Cafayate, which is one of my favorites, and Patios de Cafayate as well. As you see, these are more boutique, and these are very indented within the colonial architecture of the region of Salta, Cafayate, and Jujuy. So I'm going to continue, and I'm going to go really quick on this part, because Cordoba is not really sold as a touristic destination. Yeah, it's still the second largest city in Argentina and the most important city in Argentina. But if you're doing Cordoba, what we recommend is a lot of like hiking, adventures, trekking, mountain biking, and all this kind of for more adventurous people. Okay. But you have also some different estancias, which are the traditional Argentinian ranches that you can actually get to visit and get indented of the Argentinian gaucho culture. So I'm going to skip Cordoba a little bit. So I'm going to continue because of time to the next region, which is Cuyo. And here is something of your interest, Mendoza. Okay, so flying from Buenos Aires to Mendoza, it'll take you approximately 2 hours and 30 minutes. So you can either stay in Mendoza, or you can go to Valle de Luco, where most of the vineyards and lodges are located. And this is about an hour and 15 minutes away from Valle de Luco, from Mendoza. Okay. But you can still stay in Mendoza and do some full day excursions to like the different parts where I'm gonna be able to talk a little bit more about this region. How many nights we recommend here? At least 3 nights. Still, it's 2 hour and 30 minute flight from Buenos Aires to Mendoza, and uh, for example, if you're connecting from other regions, you're not going to have connectivity throughout the whole year, just in the high season. But we need to check this always upon request, because it's super important to understand that we can find that there is availability, so we can make them passengers flying directly if they're in another city, which is not Buenos Aires, for example, or if they need to go back to Buenos Aires. So in Valle de Luco, you have most of the vineyards. It's for all kind of passengers, not for, only for adults. So, for example, if you have families, you can go with children, and there's other excursions such as horseback riding, bicycle around the vineyards, some label blending experiences for children that are adapted so the whole family can do an experience together. If they're honeymooners, there's other kind of experiences. And also, if you have adventure passengers, we have great experiences as well. In Villavicencio Natural Reserve, we have a lot of different places that you can actually get to do some rafting, some kayaking, some canyoning, among different trekkings. But also, going towards Chile, you will have the visit to the Aconcagua National Park. The Aconcagua Mountain is actually the highest peak in the Americas, not only in South America. So it's about 23,000 feet and about like 6,970 meters above the sea level. So this is definitely a landmark. And also, this area of Mendoza, it's really, really interesting and well known, because lately it's been well recognized for restaurants. A lot of restaurants that these past years have been awarded with Michelin stars for being in the top 50 best restaurants in the world. So I can give you further information about those restaurants. I don't have in my mind right now, but this is something I know from hand. But also, you can connect to Chile if you want to do either by flight. Is an hour flight, but if you want to do by car, you can cross the Andes, do the spotlighting of the Aconcagua, and then continue to Santiago, which that would take you about 7 hour trip by car. Going to show you some images about like what you will be encountering and the experiences you will be encountering in this region of the country. And this is great because these are the gauchos. So these are the Argentinian cowboys. And you can do some horseback riding and the different lodges. This is the Aconcagua. So you can do some trekkings here for more adventurous people, hiking and trekking, some rafting. Also, the blending labels with the families that I was explaining before, the vineyard, the biking around the lodges, hot air balloon flights among the vineyards, and also the traditional Argentinian lamb barbecue, which is called asado en el palo, which is a traditional experience with the bonfire. And you have, all the legends of like these people who have their ancestors. It's an ancestry culture, and they have a lot of information to share with the passengers. Among luxury properties, here you have a lot to see, within from 3 up to 5 stars. 3 and 4, I would recommend more to stay in Mendoza, in the city. But if you want to go to the lodges, which is the unique experience here in Mendoza, I would recommend to go to either of these lodges that I'm going to talk about briefly: Entre Cielos, Canvas Wine, the Vines Resorts and Spa, or Park Hyatt Mendoza. Okay? So I'm going to go now to the next region, and I'm sorry that I'm running, but it's a huge country, as I said. And so we're going to head into Patagonia. So, as I previously mentioned, Patagonia is divided actually into four parts. Bariloche, Bariloche, it's great because it can combine very well with Puerto Varas in Chile. So you can do the lake crossing. That would take you a full day in order to get from Bariloche to Puerto Varas, starting from 8 a.m. all the way to Puerto Varas, that you would be arriving at 8 p.m. So it's about 12-hour drive, and it'll be half of the time by ferry and half of the time by bus. Okay? But also in Patagonia, you have Calafate, which also combines very well with Chile, with Torres del Paine National Park, where you can get to from Puerto Natales to Calafate, and that would take you about like 8-hour trips as well. It's a long trip. Or Ushuaia, which is the other region of Patagonia that I'm going to talk later on. Okay, so if we see the map, if we talk about this region of Patagonia, in Bariloche, it's very well known for skiing, for those who want to have like passengers skiing on off the season in the north, but it's ski season in the southern hemisphere. It's one of the best places. So in this region, what I'm going to talk about is a little bit more about what you can actually get to see. So in Bariloche, we recommend to stay minimum 3 days, minimum 3 nights, 4 days. On the first day, what you would be doing is the circuit of Yao Yao, which is one of the main hotels, but it's one of the most popular tours because you arrive, for example, in the afternoon, and in the after lunch, you can do an excursion to, like, it'll be a panoramic excursion to all the different viewpoints of the lakes. This region is more or less like the Lake District in Chile that we talked in the previous webinar last week. Very alike, with different lakes around the city, and great panoramic viewpoints. And one of these most well-known viewpoints is Cerro Campanario, which I'm going to talk to you and show you a picture later on. On the second day, what you can do is visit the route of the 7 lakes of the Andes, and that's actually a full day, and it's Villa Angostura. And this tour can have lunch included. This could be on a shared basis, or it could be on a private tour. You need an SUV or a 4x4 because of the condition of the roads. Okay. And then on the third day, what we can also offer is a navigation to Victoria Island, where you can have a panoramic view of the different lakes in the region. And this is a panoramic view that it takes a half day, and it's within a boat of a capacity of about 200 passengers, but it's pretty big, so you can have like a good, it's not a rough sailing. Well, it depends on the wind. Patagonia can be very windy all the time. So, of course, it will be something that you need to take into consideration. The good thing about, like, what I previously said about what Bariloche has is that you have the easy crossing from Bariloche to Chile if you want to combine both destinations. Okay, so I'm going to show you a couple of pictures here, and this is what I was telling you a little bit about the different points. So, for example, on the first day, you do around Bariloche, around the lakes, El Campanario, and then you go to Villa Langostura and San Martin de los Andes to visit the 7 lakes route. Okay, so this is how Bariloche would look alike, and this is the viewpoint of Campanario Hill. This is a place that you should not miss. Then I'm gonna go to one of the experiences that's very traditional here, which is the fly fishing. Then I'm gonna talk about the private navigations that I was telling you already. You can do some adventure tours. Local brewery tours is super getting very trendy in this region. There's a lot of uh, local handicraft breweries of beer in this region, so it's good for the people that want to go and do some beer tasting. Also, Victoria Island, which I was talking, that has a great viewpoint, and you can do some trekking among the island with the navigation. And this is how it looks, Cathedral Hill in the winter. And because it's, as I mentioned, this is a very well-known place for skiing during the winter season in South America. Also, the lake crossing and also chocolate is super famous here. And lamb and cooking classes, gastronomic, get into the Patagonian side of the gastronomy of Argentina is another different thing that you need to get to see. There's all kinds of properties here from 3 stars up to 5 stars, but let's start with Jao Jao Hotel, which is the most famous one, El Casco Art Hotel, which I'm going to show you a picture. Very picturesque, very Patagonian style, charming luxury lodge, and Villa Beluno. So as you can see, there's different types of accommodations, but I'm showing you here the ones we recommend for your higher end passengers. If you want information also about the other lodges, we can, for other categories, we can also provide those accordingly. The next region that might be of your interest, it's Calafate. The best way to reach Calafate is definitely from Buenos Aires. So, for example, if you're doing Mendoza or Iguazu, you need to return to Buenos Aires, stay one night, or do the connection flight. But flying from Buenos Aires to Calafate, it will take you about 3 hours and 30 minutes, because flying to Ushuaia, it will take you about 4 hours. It's a huge country. Okay? So, how much time we do recommend when staying in Calafate? And one of the most important things to consider here is the season. The best time to travel to Calafate is from September to late April, as this is the summer season. Well, the starts the spring and the transition to the fall season in Patagonia in Argentina. It doesn't mean it's not open. It still be open, and most of the tours will be running during the winter, unless you want to go to uh, El Chalten, which we do not recommend to go to El Chalten during the winter season, because there's so much snow and the trekkings are not very accessible, and most of the accommodation is closed during this time. But Calafate and Perito Moreno Glacier is open all year. However, it's more recommended to go during their summer season, which is from September to March, to late April every year. Okay, so when arriving to Calafate, um, minimum 3 days, 4 days, 3 nights. And if you want to go to El Chalten, which is mostly for those people who are interested in hiking, then you at least need to extend it for 2 extra nights. Okay. When arriving to Calafate, the first thing that you're gonna get to do is the most traditional Glaciar Perito Moreno or Perito Moreno Glacier. Okay, to get to this part, you need to drive 1 hour, and then you get to the Glaciares National Park, and you will reach Glaciar Perito Moreno. This will be definitely a full day excursion. Why? because in the morning you can do the sidewalks of the glacier where you will have panoramic views of the glacier within different sidewalks and get to see the glacier's calvings from the panoramic views. And in the afternoon or in the morning, well, it could be like switched, you can do the walking on the glacier. This is an excursion that could take about an hour, and you need to wear crampons. You will do an hour hiking on top of the glacier, and you will be able to have at the end a whiskey on the rocks with some chocolate tasting on top of the glacier. Additionally to that, for those who are not that adventurous, because these might be a little bit more demanding, we don't recommend, for example, for family with children, there's also a navigation that you could do surrounding the glacier, okay? And this navigation would take about an hour and 30 minutes, and you can get panoramic views from the glacier as well on a boat. And I'm gonna show you what else you could do. On a second day, you can go further to Los Glaciares National Park, where you can actually get to see two other glaciers that you do not visit when you're doing Perito Moreno. These are Uppsala Glacier and Spatzeli Glacier. Um, these are not as famous as the Perito Moreno National Park, but it's definitely a nice experience. And you can overnight here in a ranch called Estancia Cristina, or other kind of ranches as well, where you can do 4x4 excursions. And I'm going to show you pictures later on, where you can actually get to do some hiking, trekkings, and horseback riding, bicycle, and also get to do the Patagonian barbecue as well. And also, if you want to go to El Chalten in the north, this is about 3 hours driving to get to Chalten. And if you want to get to the visit to Mount Fitzroy, that would take a full day excursions, and it's a hiking that takes about 8 hours. Okay, so it's not for everyone. However, there are different other trails among the Chalten region that are self-guided. You don't really need a guide, but if you want a guide to feel more confident, yeah, you can do that. But the trails are very, very well located and guided. So self-guideds are okay, but you need at least two days to get to see these region. So I'm gonna start with Perito Moreno Glacier. These are the sidewalks you have among different 3 or 4 different sidewalks that you can do in the morning. In the afternoon, you can do what we were saying, the Marpata cruise experience, that you can navigate among the glacier, or the mini trekking over the glacier. That would take about an hour. Also, in the countryside, get into the estancia and doing like a farm, locally farmed Patagonia farm experience. But also, if you're going to El Chalten to go to see Fitzroy Mount, then it'll take you 8 hours to get to see this lake, and of course getting to see the one of the landmarks of this region. Okay, and I have 7 more minutes, but I'm gonna try to go further. So for example, in this region you have great properties such as the Olo Hotel, Explora El Chalten, which is pretty well known, Nivepo Aike, which is a beautiful hotel in the outskirts of Calafate, and Stancia Cristina, if you want to go further down to see the other glaciers, which I mentioned previously, Uppsala and Spetzique glaciers, which are can be seen from different viewpoints from this stancia farm of lodge that it's an all-inclusive as well. Then I'm gonna go to Ushuaia, briefly saying Ushuaia, it's the best connecting points for the Antarctica cruises. When doing the Antarctica cruises, we recommend doing a pre-tour rather than a post-tour. Why? Because Aerolíneas Argentinas are the only airlines that fly to El Calafate, to Ushuaia, and they can get delays. So it's better to have a couple of days before doing an Antarctica cruise rather than, just arriving one night earlier and probably getting your flight canceled and then missing your Antarctica cruise. So it's better to have a couple of days in Ushuaia and in Tierra del Fuego National Park and then joining your Antarctica cruise. So that's a good recommendation. When visiting Antarctica, when visiting Ushuaia, Tierra del Fuego, we recommend what's the difference between Calafate and Ushuaia? Ushuaia, it's going to be more open flatlands side of Patagonia, Argentina. So it could be a lot more windy. So be prepared. It could be either in the summer or in the winter, but it's going to be more windy. And the two excursions that I recommend in these regions are the train to the end of the world in the Tierra del Fuego National Park would take you to different trails that you can walk around, very easy for families with children, for any type of passengers. It doesn't really require a lot of demand and activities. And also, for example, the navigation on the Beagle channel, where you can see the I forgot. I always forget the name in English. Magellanic penguins, or getting a helicopter flight within the landing on the Andes, but also one of the main spots that I'm not able to see here is visiting the Emerald Lake. And the Emerald Lake is actually it takes 20 minutes away from Ushuaia getting there, and it's an easy walk, about like 4 hours, and you get to this emerald colored lake that you can get to see. And of course, what I was telling you about the Magellanic penguins and the departure to the Antarctica cruises. Luxury properties here in this region. There's two I recommend, but there's a lot in town that are 3 and 4 stars. Town is really good for its gastronomy. It's a small town. It's a different atmosphere. It's a port, been on the end of the world in the most austral city in the world. It's an experience by itself, but you have like two different type of hotels that I want to show you here, which is Los Cauquenes Hotels Resort and Spa and Aracur. But also in the city, you can find 3-star, 4-star, boutique, everything for all kinds of passengers and tastes. And for the last 3 minutes, I'm going to finish with the last region in Argentina, Patagonia, which is Puerto Madryn. I wanted to say also, before jumping into this region, that throughout the year, there is a good connection between Calafate and Ushuaia. So you can find direct flights if you want to combine these two regions of Patagonia, okay? And then finalizing with Puerto Madryn, this region is basically for those passengers who have a lot more time and want to explore more the Patagonia region. The great purpose of going into this region is the whale spotting and the Magellanic penguins that you can see throughout the months of June to late September, the whales, and the penguins are to be seen more from um, August till the end of March. So, I mean, it's only if you really, really are interested in whale spotting in this region, because going here and, for example, the whale spotting time, it's actually June to September, which is actually the winter in Argentina. So I'm not sure everyone wants to get to this region. You need to fly to Puerto Madryn. The accommodation is a lot more basic in this region. And I'm going to show you some pictures about like what you can see here. Probably you might be able to spot the orcas, also humpback whales, the Magellanic penguins, people who are interested in scuba dive. The beaches and the landscape is amazing in Peninsula Valdez. And also some visit the Welsh community, which is a community very traditional from this part of the countryside. Okay, and the luxury properties, there is a couple ones like Territorio, which is more of 4 stars, Océano Patagonia, the same thing, and Pedral. This is what I can tell you. And I'm not going to get into the self-drives because this is a different story. If you want more information about the self-drives, I can talk about that on an email, because you can do the combination of the self-drive within Argentina and Chile, as you can see here in the map. But this will take me a lot more time to get into. And I think it's better if I can send you some information by email. Okay, so that's basically what I wanted to show you. And I really appreciate your time. And I'm going to stop recording at this moment.